Hello, everyone. This is Lancer 737, aka Captain Blu-ray Buckaroo. I don't normally talk about politics on this channel, but I felt like this needed to be addressed. I'm going to read this and a couple other articles and address what I think is incorrect here. Do bronies have a Nazghoul problem? I'm not going to say the word because it could do damage to things. FedEx shooting shines light on faction of subculture. Since it was revealed that the FedEx shooter had a love for Applejack, questions have been raised about the fandom. I think that's kind of a pathetic reason to consider someone to be a Nazi, and then also that it's specifically an MLP thing. Like, everyone likes multiple things. So that's a pretty weird stretch to get to that point. But let's continue. It's a sad reflection of the times we live in that mass shootings in the United States tend to follow a specific pattern. Now, hours after a shooting, reporters tend to comb through the shooter's social media presence, usually revealing a lengthy history of anonymous message board postings and far-right indoctrination, which they're not showing proof of. Following the April 15th attack on the FedEx ground facility in Indianapolis, which resulted in the deaths of 9 people, including the gunman, there was a slight variation on the pattern. The 19-year-old gunman was revealed to be affiliated with the brony subculture. Again, that's kind of a weird stretch because, like, no one that is committing shootings and crimes at all, they're not looking at their fandom posts. They're just a blank cookie cutter cutout, I guess. They don't like anything at all, but this is the first one they found that actually liked something in a fandom. Pathetic. According to the Wall Street Journal, which cited internal memos circulated by Facebook in the wake of the attack, the gunman primarily used his Facebook accounts to discuss his love for My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, a children's cartoon series featuring magical ponies. Male fans of the show are often referred to as bronies. Though the memo was quick to state that there was no indication that brony culture played a role in the attack of the gunman, I'm going to stop right there. Clearly, again, this is just to draw views and for money. And a lot of people, statistically, a lot of people don't actually read the whole article, let alone source it. So when they're going to read the article, they're going to be like, oh, okay, bronies are Nazis. Let's get rid of all of them now. Rolling Stone's pathetic. Posted about his love of a tawny pony named Applejack, one of the main characters of the franchise, less than an hour before the rampage. This is what he said. I quote, I hope that I can be with Applejack in the Hope I can be with Applejack in the afterlife. My life has no meaning without her, he wrote. If there's no afterlife and she isn't real, then my life never mattered anyway. That's a really sad thing to say. I think the characters in MLP are absolutely outstanding, more so than most other series. And I'm extremely picky about the series that I invest my time in. They are amazing characters. Other characters I can point out to that I can feel an attachment to just because how incredibly crafted they are would be like Master Chief from Halo or Roy Fokker from Robotech. Or, well, I guess you can't really say Baron Phil. You don't see much of him, but I can relate to him because he's an ace fighter pilot. So I can say the same for Rainbow Dash, Princess Luna, and Frank Castle. I can relate with him in the sense that I've been in situations similar, making one feel very helpless. Had a hard life. Not going to get into it. But when the system can't do anything for you, and you're at the whims of people that want to do you harm. I can understand Frank Castle not saying to do what Frank Castle does in the comics, because he is just a comic book character. This is a very things are really bad in the world right now. It's causing lots how groups are running right now are causing lots of mental stress to the point that suicides and stuff like that are going up. And then you're going to see stuff like this. And I feel very sorry for them that this happened, but they had no right to kill anyone. And on top of that, Rolling Stones had no right to be like, well, hey, man, this guy is a brony, so obviously it's a... Oh, and you know what? He likes Applejack, so, Nazis. I mean, Nazghoul. That's an insane stretch, but thank you, Rolling Stone. This is going to cause problems just like what's happening around the world when you falsely accuse people or groups of things that they didn't do. Then they're going to have a lot of hate go their way. Thank you. Thank you a lot. Sarcasm. The gunman reportedly had a history of posting far-right content such as memes suggesting Jesus had been reincarnated as a guy from 1940s Germany, the memo stated. That, just to be clear, that does not make one a Nazghoul. It's a pretty weird meme, but that does not make someone a Nazghoul. In fact, the fact that he was talking about... Hold on a second. Well, anyway, him being a brony, it would not be possible to be a Nazghoul. It would be impossible to be a follower of the German guy from 1942, and I'll explain after reading some more. It's important to note that the brony fandom is highly misunderstood, and it is not inherently racist or white supremacist. The majority of members of the fandom are simply fans of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Members of the community have also rallied to raise money for the victims with various GoFundMe campaigns circulating on social media. Yet the shooter's social media presence has drawn renewed attention to the disturbing trend within the community, which has been infiltrated by far-right forces since its beginning. That's full of horse droppings. There's some major problems I've seen in this community. It's not far right. And if there are any far right in the community, they specifically would not be Nazghoul nor Neo-Nazghoul. There could be some other groups I'm not familiar with, but they themselves would not be related to them. But I'm very certain that there's next to none of them, but there is definitely a problem. And I'll get to that as well. What are bronies? Don't know if I should bother reading this part. I guess I will anyway. Bronies are male fans of the franchise My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. The community took root on the anonymous message board 4chan in 2010, about 2 years after the series started airing, saying Lauren Orson, a journalist who has covered the roots of the fandom, though it might seem an unorthodox obsession for adult men, many would share their non-ironic love for the series and the messages it imparted. Like a lot of modern kids' media, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is designed with multiple audiences in mind to engage kids without boring parents to death, says Ornish. By appealing to adults who would watch alongside kids, it makes more sense how it would develop an adult fan following. Much like the furry fandom, there is an indisputable attractive component to the community, and those interested in My Little Pony stuff that I don't want to say it because it might screw up my channel, are traditionally known as cloppers, a play on fappers. What does this have to do with supposedly far right people being in the fandom? This is just again to try to make bronies look bad and pathetic. It's like, oh, not only are they Nazghoul and far right, they're all doing inappropriate stuff and looking at disgusting things. We really should grind these people into the ground. That's what I mean. Eventually, you'll get to at this point. But also, like the furry fandom, many of the members of the My Little Pony fandom do not. Okay, do not fantasize the franchise characters. So I mean, maybe I shouldn't have said that too quickly. At least they're saying that, but that's still a weird thing to throw in there. Says a lot of about us that we are so uncomfortable with men actually liking a show for little girls, which it's not. It was meant for everyone, like they said before. Um, just a quick proclamation. G1, which came out in the 80s, that was meant for little boys and little girls. G2 and G3 and G3.5, that was meant for little girls. And in my opinion, it wasn't good. G4 was meant for everyone. G5, I have no idea. It's probably the only laugh I'm going to get out of this. Brony culture has since blossomed into a bona fide online subculture, spawning an annual convention called BronyCon, which I don't think exists anymore, as well as numerous documentaries portraying the fandom. What is the relationship between the Brony fandom and the far right? They could have gotten to that much sooner, because the community took root on 4chan, which tends to be a bastion of unfettered misogyny and hate speech. There has always been a small sliver of MLP fandom that has skewed far right extremists, says the editor. Even in the mid 2010s, they were seeing fringe groups come out, people whose involvement in the fandom was designed to shock and disgust, like photos of ponies with the Nazghoul symbol that they stole from Indians, I believe. Or ponies covered in stuff, I'm not going to say. Again, the second part's not really a far right thing, but whatever. She says, you were also seeing positive fringe elements like brony fan artists and musicians who were creatively building an MLP fandom in more appealing ways, but the unpleasant stuff has been there alongside it for decades. In recent years, these extremist elements have been getting more mainstream attention. Last year, in the wake of the Floyd killing and the rash of BLM protests that swept the country, Atlantic reporters Tiffany wrote the internal battle had erupted on the fan art community Derpabrew, with many aggressively downvoting BLM-themed MLP fan art on grounds that the platform should not be used to spread political messages. This was in spite of the fact that it had long been a trend for the members of the fandom to submit MAGA or Nazgul-inspired imagery, including art depicting an original Nazgul emblem and emblazoned character named Arena. In response to the report, administrators for Derpabrew, though intentionally resistant to being seen as curbing freedom of expression, eventually settled on updating its rules by clearly forbidding images which seem to promote racism or that seem to only exist to rile people up. In the response to reports that FedEx shooter was involved in the fandom, many within the community are taking steps to actively disavow the far-right extremists, which there's no proof the guy was far-right. Contingent of the subculture right-wing bronies now have a body count. Oh, really? They have to continue to be pushed out of our community. Notice they just said right wing, so like all right wing. Just get rid of all the right wing in the MLP fandom. Okay. None of that wishy washy both sides stuff Dipperboo pulled. These people must be actively rejected. Okay, well, I guess since I'm right wing, I guess I can't be part of the fandom anymore. Okay, that's fine. One person active in the community tweeted, given how widely misinterpreted the fandom has historically been in mainstream culture, members of the community also responded by expressing concerns for how they would be portrayed by the media. Be prepared for some potential blowback once the news starts breaking out into the wider internet, the MLP fandom website Equestria Daily wrote. In light of the news, it's important to note that while there is undeniably a component of the fandom that skews extremists, as arguably the case with any fandom, it would be unfair to use the FedEx shooting as an excuse to slander bronies as a whole, which is true, or to paint the subculture as inherently problematic. I am reluctant to paint any particular ties between attraction to bronies and attraction to any particular ideology. I think it is more a correlation of circumstances, says Gilbert. The spaces of the internet that have made a home for bronies has also made a home for many explicit ideology communities to flourish. I think it's more exploitable that people who are attracted to those spaces are more likely to be attracted to both bronies and other communities that are present there. She also pointed out that a largely masculine space emphasizing male perspectives, where a lot of the proportions are middle class, white, straight, single men, might appeal to a particular mindset. Oh, really? Is there a problem with us? She also broadly warns against painting bronies with a broad brush, which kind of did in this. Vast majority of bronies are regular people who enjoy a colorful cartoon with positive message, adding that such views as apparently harbored by the FedEx shooter are unethical to the values that bronies claim to appreciate above everything else, such as love, friendship, and acceptance. Okay, we're going to get to the next article. This junk is from the Atlantic. My Little Pony fans are ready to admit they have a Nazghoul problem. Even a niche subculture built around magical cartoon horses is reckoning with racism. My Little Pony fans have had a Nazghoul problem for a long time. That sounds just as strange no matter how many times you say it. MLP Friendship is Magic is a cartoon television show about friendship, compassion, and a group of magical horses with names such as Twilight Sparkle and Fluttershy who live in a fantastical land called Equestria. Marketed to children, actually it's marketed to everyone. Nevertheless, is extremely dedicated adult it has an extremely dedicated adult fandom, which is mostly made up of men or bronies, as they've been referred to for nearly a decade. Most of these men are white, some of these men vocal white supremacists. Yeah, sure. The brony subculture is about as niche as they come. Born in internet forums in the early 2010s, an era where hyper-specific interests were the organizing organizing principles of social media. Even so, bronies have long captured the world's attention. They hold well-attended fan conventions. They've been the stars of multiple documentaries. Wait a minute. I feel like this is the same thing. Okay, that's where the Nazghouls come in. Fans primarily express their enthusiasm for the show by sharing their own cartoon drawings of the main characters, with which they usually upload to image boards. The most popular of these is called Dipperboo, a combination of character names and common terms of the image boards. Dipperboo hosts millions of MLP artworks, plenty of which are simply tributes to magic, friendship, and magical friendship. But a substantial number of them are extremely violent. An image that I have recently viewed on the site depicts MLP characters proceeding over 3 lynching and 1 beheading of cartoons drawn to represent various marginalized groups. Dipperboo even lists race as a searchable category. More than 900 pieces of art are tagged as such. Just want to quickly add here that being racist is not specifically a right-wing thing. In fact, there's tons of right-wingers and left-wingers that are not racist. It centrist too. I mean, you literally can't really be a centrist. It would be impossible. You'd have to be incorporeal energy being that does not affect a single thing to the point you're non-existent. So to say that, oh, racism is a quality of a right winger, no, it's not. Anyone can be, which I'll get to later. For years, this has been the status quo in the world of MLP and supposed differences to principles of free speech and openness on the internet. The principles of self-described Nazghoul within the fandom that idolizes compassion-oriented cartoon characters has become a coolly accepted fact. The community has sorted itself largely into two camps: those who think anything goes as long as someone finds it funny, and those who would rather ignore toxic elements than admit that not everything is perfect. I'm not going to go into the rest of this. What it's basically saying is, if you have anything that resembles racism, or you can twist into evil groups like Nazghoul, then supposedly the MLP fandom has that as a problem. It doesn't. In fact, the real Nazghoul, if they were here, and Neo Nazghoul, they absolutely hate us. They do. That's why even if you see art from MLP that looks like it combines stuff with Nazghoul stuff, it's more of a parody, which they absolutely hate. See, on a different video website, I tried to get that going. I still probably have to, but unfortunately, there actually is some real Neo Nazghoul on that website. And I got tired of their stuff being recommended to me, especially about the Waffen SS, which would be the equivalent of their special forces. I told them how I felt about them. They lost the war. They're kind of pathetic. They found out everything they possibly could about me, and they let me know how much of a degenerate I was for being a fan of MLP. And once they found me, they would put a hole in my head with a ballistic weapon. That anyone that likes anything like MLP is a degenerate, they would unalive them. So to pretend that anyone that's making parody stuff that's in the MLP fandom and acting like they actually would be a part of those groups, it's impossible. It really is. They're not going to recruit people from a base of people that they would love to unalive, whether they're right wing or left wing. This art, the violent stuff and the other things like that, that's just, I believe in the freedom of speech. So I believe people have the right to make those kind of arts. It's not the kind of art that I would draw myself, but I believe in the freedom of speech, because then you have crazy things that keep on going further than that and further than that. For an example, it's like Ariana, I think that's the name of the character. Like, well, you can't have that character because it's a parody of Nazghoul stuff. Okay, well, they get rid of that, and then they're like, and they complain about it in a different article. I thought they were going to talk about it in this one, but they didn't. Then it gets to like, well, Princess Luna and Princess Celestia, they're princesses. That's imperial. Imperialism existed before the Nazghoul, and Germany caused both wars, so we're going to get rid of that too because that offends us, and we're in a, let's say, a capitalist country, so we don't like imperial stuff. So we're going to get rid of that too. It causes division and anger and hate, and then it gets to a point when you keep on going this route, when you're going after things, especially things that are not actually causing that waves of hate. It'll get to a point where if we're still around, our culture will be a gray culture. What I mean by that is, like, in order to allow everyone to not be offended by anything, everything will have to be different shades of gray. Everything will be one simple shape that no one either hates nor likes. Music will be one tone, a tone that no one hates or likes. All food will be manufactured, tasteless, because you'll neither hate it nor like it, but it'll sustain you. You might not even be able to see what people look like at that point. If we go down this road, and in some ways we're going down this road kind of fast, it's not good. If people are hateful, you need to be able to actually see what they're doing versus a parody. So you can get a heads up if someone bad has something bad intentions for you. Case in point, I was telling you that we have problems in this fandom, and it's not a right wing one. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. There is an important person in this fandom, go by name Scarlet. Do not contact this person. They are what's the problem with this community. They hold extremist views. They're dangerous. From my understanding, no one that's right wing in the United States, in the West Coast, they're not allowed to even be administrators in any MLP convention because of this person. And what is horrifying also is that they apparently have talked about going out of the way to retaliate against people that vote right wing. They've apparently suggested going through registered voters, seeing who voted right wing, and retaliating against them. That part is the debatable part. They either mean what's happening now, where it's like, well, I saw that you vote right wing, so I'm going to make you lose your job. Might mean that. Might mean that they try to do something so they can't vote anymore. But considering they're part of an extremist group that I don't want to mention, there's also the possibility they mean to do more. Like even burn your house down with you in it. Or, burn my house down with me in it. I consider that extremist. Their philosophy, political philosophy, leans towards Stalinist communism. Not a term I normally use, but they believe in causing harm if you don't do what they say. Well, how this person is in the fandom still, that's what I would like to know. Because I'm seeing people argue you should get rid of any right. Well, they just said get rid of right wingers. Period. Just for being right wing. You have these other people there. They're like, oh yeah, I don't like the right wing, so let's find out where they live and retaliate, which can be taken many different ways. I'm not even through the stupid parody Nazghoul art do I see anyone saying, hey, besides me having this Nazgul art, let's find out where the left is and do stuff to them, which I don't advocate for. But there's nothing like that in the art. But this person can flat out say stuff like that. That is insane to me. And I'm seeing more people lean towards this economic model and be like, yeah, man, yeah, we should. I'm paraphrasing. We should do some harm to people if they don't want to be a communist. It's like, are you serious? That's insane. That is horrifying. There's so many people that came to the United States to escape systems like this and have people come into our community and advocate for it. That is nightmarish. They should leave. They should do their own crazy stuff someplace else. But technically, since they're saying that all right-wingers should not be allowed to be in the fandom, then I guess technically I wouldn't have to worry about it, because I technically by proxy wouldn't count as being part of the fandom just because I'm right-wing. That's insane. Again, do not contact this person at all. At all. There is no Nazgul problem in the MLP fandom, and I'll repeat my reasons again. They think the neo-Nazguls think we are degenerates, and they told me they would like to kill me. Of course, I mean, I made fun of their special forces during World War II, but yeah, they would like to kill us. They think just being fans of of MLP is good enough that we're degenerates and that we have marred our ancestry just for being fans of the series, and we deserve to be unalived. And it's strange to me that they would, these people would claim that just being right wing would suddenly make you be one of these people. Is disingenuous, because being a Nazgul is much more than just a political thing. It's much more a religious thing. What people don't know about the Nazgul, because it overlaps with a lot of occult stuff. I like to do research on occult stuff. Is it's impossible for a Nazgul, and by proxy, I think Neo Nazguls too. You can't be a Christian and a Nazgul. It's impossible. The Nazguls believe they have another emblem that's not as well known as the Black Sun emblem. What it represents is, and this is blasphemy, it's nothing I believe. They believe that they'll get power out of the death that they would cause on Jesus, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. Or at least Jesus and the Father. It's not possible in any way, and it's blasphemous. You can't be a Christian and be like, it would be impossible. You're plotting the death, which would not be possible anyway, of God. So that's a huge, major difference that you can't reconcile. They also are obsessed with hybridizing Nordic with some other, including some of the stuff from Eastern India. It's very much a dark occultism. It's its own thing. So to claim that they're Christians, it's impossible. It is literally impossible. It's like saying that someone is a Russian pagan Muslim. It's not possible. You can't. You would have to be one or the other. Oh, and by the way, this isn't talked about much, but they hate Catholics more than any other religion. At least the Neo-Nazgul do. And once they found out it was that as well, they talked about it's not good. And it's kind of funny that the mainstream media is okay with hate towards Catholics. We had over 60 churches destroyed, damaged or destroyed. No, I actually take that back. I don't think any of them in the United States were destroyed, but they were damaged for sure. There's even footage of these communist revolutionaries going into Catholic territory, grabbing the Catholics by the throat in the United States and choking them out, and then saying that them praying offended them in their own territory. Makes sense. Yeah. We have a major problem. It's not far right. There's no, the far right would hate the right wingers in the MLP fan because, again, they think they're degenerates, and it pisses them off to see artwork with ponies with their emblems on them. So I would say, you know what? Since they're gonna shoot me over it, heck, make more of that and put it in their faces. That's a freedom of speech. If they're gonna threaten me, heck with them. I had to say something about this because this is making me angry. I'm seeing lots of scared people in the fandom by these people. This fandom, and again, I believe in freedom of speech. This fandom is about friendship. It's about laughter. It's about a lot of things. And it does spill into different subgroups. You have like sci-fi ponies and stuff like that too, which is pretty cool. Different styles of storytelling. Focus more on the fantasy and art, or you focus more on the quality of life, or you focus more on drama. Focus on whatever you want. And again, that should not be impeded because that can ruin just communication in itself. It can lead to just communication. And you'll know if it's a real call to violence or not, as opposed to just having a parody character. What this person did, there is no other way you can take it. They didn't say it in a coded way. They didn't say it any other way. They said they need to find out where the right wingers are through the voting polls and retaliate. And they're serious about it. And you know what else is odd? The communists that have infiltrated MLP, and I saw them do it. I was on Tara Strong's message thing. These extremists came in. They're like, "Does MLP have a Nazi problem?" And like, I was like, "Oh, great, here we go." Because these people like to threaten people. They're openly talking about burning people's houses down with people in them. And that's not the problem. Someone needs to take their head out of their ass. So I come back an hour later and all those extremists had changed their avatars into MLP themed avatars. These people like to infiltrate everything and ruin it. Make it psychotic, make people psychotic. Another thing I was a part of, saw these people horrified by all these draconian rules that were being implemented on them. And you know what? I'm not going to talk about the art issue. Different art issue, not related to this, but it's still an art issue nonetheless that's horrifying the fandom. Need to really learn what a Nazghoul and a Neo-Nazghoul is, which I wouldn't count them as necessarily the same thing. The real ones are not good, for sure. But learn the difference between parody and real counts or calls to violence. That's all I have to say. We have a problem. It's communist, leftist extremists who openly talk about harming people openly. Their plans for harming people, they say it openly. But you're offended by a parody character, which if we're out in the open and the real Nazghoul or the Neo-Nazghouls were out here, they would straight up obliterate us just for those parodies. Not even just for the parodies. They would just flat out obliterate us. Anyway, I had to say this. This made me angry. I hope you have a blessed day, though. Peace be with you.